This is the aerial view showing the boundary, property boundary, and also the adjacent structures. So the property has an area of 0.48 acres and a lot frontage of 60 feet. The access to the property is from Highway 1, from the south end of the property. And the property has a slight slope declining southwards towards Highway 1. The neighboring properties to the west are mostly commercial, and to the east there is a residential dwelling, and beyond this there are several commercial properties, primarily car dealerships and automotive repair shops. The white dotted line indicates the boundary of the property, the approximate boundary here, and the red arrow shows the entry to the property from Highway 1. And there is an existing residential dwelling on the property, which is over here. And this red rectangle towards the rear and rear portion of the property is where the dog daycare is proposed to be located. And the green arrow shows the entry to the dog daycare. The yellow rectangle over here also shows the position of the proposed car parking for the dog daycare. So a closer look at the dog daycare. This over here is the indoor structure, which will be split into two areas. This area is meant as a resting space for the dogs, and this area over here is meant to secure barking dogs or dogs that misbehave. And there will be two gates near the entry, one for the owner and the dog to enter, and the other to let in the dog into the facility. And this is the outdoor play area for the dogs. This outdoor play area will be fenced with a 6-foot high opaque privacy fence. And this indoor structure is proposed to be around 20 feet by 30 feet approximately. The dog daycare is proposed to operate from 7:30 a.m. till 6 p.m. and it is proposed to start with a 15 dogs capacity, and this the applicant intends to increase this capacity in the consecutive years. The property is located within the general commercial zone C1. And the purpose of the zone is to accommodate a wide range of commercial uses and also provide residential opportunities, low impact industrial developments along main transportation corridor. There is also the town of Kentville close to the property. This is a future land use map. The property is expected to continue to be in the commercial designation in the future as well. And these are some photographs of the property. On top is a key map for reference. So the image to the left shows the entry to the property from Highway 1. This over here is Highway 1. And there is an existing driveway on the property leading to the existing dwelling. This is the existing residential dwelling. This dwelling is currently rented out, and the applicant proposes to convert it into an office space once the tenant vacates. There are a few trees near the existing dwelling over here, and there is also grass cover across the front half of the property towards the east over here. Other than that, vegetation on the property is scarce. And this is the adjacent property to the east. It consists of residential dwellings. We believe there's more than one dwelling on that property. And this is the rear portion of the subject property. So the rear portion was cleared and leveled by the previous property owners to develop an auto repair shop. However, it was not developed. And this is the area where the dog daycare will be developed. These are the adjacent properties to the west. So this over here is a restaurant, a commercial establishment, and these structures that we see here are two automotive repair shops. So section 5.3.5 from the LUB, it states that the uses that may be considered through a development agreement, and section 5.3.5D states uses compatible with the purpose of the general commercial zone that do not otherwise meet the requirements of the zone in accordance with policy 3.2.9 of the municipal planning strategy. And policy 3.2.9 enables the council to consider proposals for commercial, industrial, mixed use and residential developments not permitted as of right in the zones through a development agreement. And the policy also states, in evaluating such development agreements, council shall be satisfied that A, the conditions that prevent the proposal from being permitted as of right in the designation is addressed by the development agreement, including but not limited to enhanced buffering and the positioning and design of buildings and structures. So the main condition that prevents this proposal from being permitted as of right is the noise-related impacts it might have on the neighborhood. So the LUB categorizes this development as an animal boarding facility, but this dog daycare, it does not intend to provide overnight accommodation to dogs. It is proposed to only operate from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the location and the proposed dog daycare will also be located on a main transportation corridor within a commercial area surrounded by various commercial establishments like auto repair shops, restaurants, and businesses. So this is the proposed timing, that is 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. is also a time during which the highway and the commercial streets are usually mostly active. And the C1 zone, that is a general commercial zone in which the property is located, it permits other similar uses like animal grooming facilities and veterinary clinics. It also permits other uses that could generate far greater noise impacts like arts and cultural centers, agriculture-related industries, bus stations, and also manufacturing uses. And any of these developments could be built as of right without requiring a DA. So considering all these factors, staff believe that it is appropriate to permit this development through a DA. And criteria C, the proposal meets the general development agreement criteria set out in section 5.3, development agreements and amending the land use bylaw. This will be discussed in the coming slides. So, according to the MPS, the main intention of the council is to direct developments away from the rural areas. But this is not always possible because some developments end up having greater negative impacts than the other. So, animal boarding facilities are such developments because of the noise-related impacts it might have on the neighborhood. And because of that, it is permitted mostly in zones located in the rural areas and not within growth centers. But not all development proposals are the same, and some uses not permitted may be appropriate in certain locations and not the other. So a DA enables a council to consider such proposals on a case-by-case basis. So in this case, the proposed dog daycare, it intends to provide care on a daily basis without overnight accommodation. And for this, the dog owners will have to drive to the facility quite frequently to drop off and pick up their dogs on a daily basis. So this proposed location within the growth center, close to Highway 1, makes it more accessible and also reduces travel distances for most of the residents living within the growth center of Coldbrook, the growth center of Waterville, and also the town of Kentville. So, and also the proposed development can benefit from the existing municipal sewer facility and also the water supply from the town of Kentville. The development can also, as I mentioned earlier, there is no substantial impact that we expect from the development. So we believe that it would be beneficial to enable this development within a growth center. And these are various sections from the MPS that states the visions and objectives related to council's intention to concentrate developments within growth centers, and also council's intention for developments to make efficient use of the public infrastructure. So staff believe that the proposal will be consistent with these visions and objectives from the MPS. We also believe that the proposal will be consistent with Council's intention to direct commercial developments to main transportation corridors and to direct development densities along main transit routes to create compact, complete communities, which are listed in various sections within the MPS and listed here on the slide. And these are also various objectives and policies from various sections of the MPS related to economic development goals and promoting businesses and entrepreneurship. So staff believe that the proposal presents an opportunity for the municipality to encourage entrepreneurship and innovation. This is a zone intent. So lands located within the general commercial zone are intended to accommodate a very wide range of commercial uses, as well as limited residential opportunities and low impact industrial developments along main transportation corridors. So the proposed dog daycare is a commercial development, but it is not permitted as of right because of the potential noise related impacts it might have on the neighborhood. But as I mentioned earlier, the zone permits uses which might generate similar potential impacts like manufacturing uses, restaurants, bus stations, agriculture-related industries, and a few other uses. And few of these uses are currently present within the area, like emergency service uses and restaurants and automotive repair shops and automobile uses. Also, as I mentioned earlier, the proposed development will be located within a commercial area right next to a main transportation corridor, and it is proposed to operate only from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., a time during which the commercial street and the highway one are mostly busy. So the potential noise generation from the development might not have as great an impact as it would in a quiet residential neighborhood. So considering these factors, staff believe that the proposal will be consistent with the intent of the zone. And the staff also assessed the proposal against the various policies listed under 5.3.7 general policies. We are satisfied that the proposal is keeping with the intent of the MPS and it is not in conflict with the municipal bylaws or regulations. We do not expect any financial impact on the municipality, and the proposed daycare will be a commercial establishment which will be compatible with the surrounding commercial uses. There is adequate sewer and water services to service the facility. Traffic hazards or congestion are not expected from the proposal, and there is adequate fire protection services as well. The property lies within the town of Kentville, Wellfield, Zone C, but the proposal does not fall within the identified list of restricted or prohibited uses within the overlay. So we do not expect any negative impacts on the well fields or other groundwater supplies. And the proposal and the site is suitable in terms of grades, soils, and geological conditions and proximity to utility right-of-ways. To summarize the development agreement, the DA enables the development of a dog daycare, and the existing residential dwelling is a non-conforming use because it is not a permitted use within the zone. So we are recognizing the existing dwelling and also providing some space for expansion by allowing a 2-unit dwelling. And the DA also enables uses permitted by the underlying zoning in the land use bylaw. In terms of our process, we are at stage 4, Planning Advisory Committee. PIM was scheduled to be held on June 7, 2023, but no members of the public were present. So a recording of the presentation was made and uploaded to the website on the 8th of June. Staff received an email from one of the residents from the neighboring area from Anderson Boulevard expressing noise-related concern, and also received an email from someone who wishes to stay anonymous expressing similar concerns. And we also received a call from the adjacent property owner to the east who had similar noise-related concerns and also inquired about parking on site and also about traffic management on site. Staff believe that the proposal will be consistent with the intent of the MPS. As a result, we are recommending a positive recommendation. And this is the recommendation. With that, I pass it back to the chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or clarification for staff from the committee? Councillor Granger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wondering, in the C1, there's other dog services allowed. Is the daycare not allowed because of the noise factor, or what is the rationalization for that?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor, the daycare is not allowed because of the noise-related issues. Like daycares might have more number of dogs or animals when compared to the veterinary clinics or the grooming facilities. So the noise-related impact might be greater than the other permitted uses. If Trish wants to add something to it.
Through you, Madam Chair. No, I think Alice covered it off. To be clear, there aren't any zones in the growth center where we would allow this use. It's typically a more rural use in terms of animal boarding. We used to call them kennels. So it's not a use that we see widely used, but it is becoming more and more popular to have a place where people can bring their dogs during the day.
Okay. If I may, can I ask another? Thank you. So the driveway, you're going to have people coming and going. Is it wide enough to receive coming and going vehicles?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll field that as well. So the land use bylaw also has requirements in terms of minimum requirements at the time of permitting. So when an application is made for the future structure to enable the use, part of that process will be to have the applicants work with Department of Transportation for permitted access for commercial. And part of that is the county within the land use bylaw also regulates the width. So two-way traffic, 20 feet, so it may have to be modified at the time of permitting in order to get a permit at the door.
And that'll be part of the development agreement?
It's technically not part of the development agreement, it'll be part of the permit that will come later. So think of it as, this is the zone, setting up the rules, will come behind as part of the building and development permits to get all those details on the ground itself.
Okay. And Madam Chair, if I may, one more. The maximum number of dogs, is that going to be in the development agreement, or is that up to the owners? Where does the onus lie on how many dogs can actually be in there?
It is not part of the, sorry, through you, Madam Chair, to the councillor. It is not part of the development agreement. It is just a proposed, it was just proposed by the applicant, the 15 dogs capacity. And I don't think we have any bylaws or anything that limits the number of dogs on a facility. If
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's right. So typically, these kind of uses, the conflict comes from barking. There is an animal bylaw, so the dog bylaw 71A, I think it is, on the county books. It deals with persistent barking dogs, and an animal boarding facility, a dog daycare, they are not exempt, so complaints related to barking would be investigated by the SPCA, and it is an offense to have persistent barking, regardless if it's a commercial property.
Okay, I'm still kind of in the dark about the capacity.
Right, so capacity is not something that land use planning talks about. We don't talk about number of people typically unless it's related to seating for a restaurant. So it's more about the size of the structure where the number is controlled through another means. So we've taken that same thought process by controlling the size of the building and the size of the outdoor run.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trish just kind of answered my question, which was about bylaws related to barking, and my understanding, I just wanted to clarify, was that whether a dog is at a homeowner's home or whether they're at a daycare facility, the same rules would apply, and as I understand, that's the case.
Through you, Madam Chair. That's right. Off the top of my head, I don't recall the wording within the dog bylaw, but it talks about whoever has control of that dog is the offender if it's doing an offense. So if you have control of a vicious dog, even though you're not the owner, but you have the dog on the leash, you are the one committing the offense. So the same thing with the barking.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gagnon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was wondering about in the development agreement, I didn't see anything about organic waste matter in the sense that if you have 15 or more dogs per day, 5 or 7 days a week, there will be a lot of organic waste coming from these animals. And so other than noise, I'm concerned about smell, and the neighbors seem to be pretty close. Wondering if there's anything in the laws or in the development agreement that regulates as to when, how often disposal. So I don't know if this being a commercial zone, does waste disposal happen more frequently or at the owner's request, or if it's just the 2 weeks, and if there should be or is something in the development agreement regarding pollution by other ways than noise, if you wish, from the property.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, the development agreement would not control that, nor does it control that kind of thing within the land use bylaw. So between valley waste and just general upkeep of a property, we would put the onus on the property owner if they find that, you know, whether you're a vet clinic or whether you're a restaurant, if you're creating organics or garbage outside of what valley waste is able to accommodate, then the onus is on the property owner.
And a follow-up on that, is there a complaint mechanism? You mentioned the barking. There's a bylaw around that for a complaint. In this case, does there anything
Through
exist?
valley waste, that's right.
Just through valley waste, not about it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Killam?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess my concerns have been answered to some degree regarding barking. What my question would be is if it becomes an issue, what impact do the bylaws have on that business? Can the bylaws actually close them down if the barking's out of control? This kind of thing. Just looking down the road, I know it has happened in another place I know, and I'm just I just wanted to have that answered. I think the applicants may be here. I just wanted to know what's down the road for them, if indeed it's not muzzled, so to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, the development agreement doesn't have that capacity to shut down the business, but I take your reference. I'm aware of the other situation. And yeah, at some point it could become financially non-sustainable if you are dealing with a lot of fines.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Friars?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think a number of my questions have been addressed. Is there information that would be coming from the Department of Highways regarding traffic flow at entering and exiting onto Highway 1 for the development agreement, or is that just taken under advisement through the process and then hence by the proponent?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So given the similarity of this use to other permitted uses, such as a vet clinic or animal grooming, we've left it to the permitting process to deal with that. Transportation, if they're not prepared to grant a commercial access for this use and all the activities that they see coming and going, if no access permit is forthcoming, no permit to construct will occur.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gagnon again?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question regarding the landscaping reference in the development agreement. I believe there is, Ms. Jacob, a reference to landscaping. If the front has to be wider for cars to come in, does it specify in the development agreement where that landscaping needs to be? If it has to be inside of the fenced area, outside the fenced area, in the front? What would be the purpose of that landscaping in the development agreement as it is right now? Is it to muffle noise, because vegetation can muffle noise, or is it for buffering with the neighbors that are close by, the residential neighbors that are close by?
Through you, Madam Chair, to the citizen member. I don't have the PAC report with me right now, but there is a requirement for landscaping within the LUB for a general commercial zone. So according to the LUB 5.3.4.5, it says landscaping consisting of a mixture of grass, flower beds, shrubs, trees, or other permeable surfaces shall be required within the lot boundary along all road frontages at a minimum width of 10 feet and along all other lot lines at a minimum width of 4 feet.
Okay, so this is a pretty small piece of land, and does this lot permit that in terms of the building structure, the rectangle you showed us, where the building structure is going to be, the fence is going to be, and then if during the permitted process the entranceway has to be all parking lot and road, what happens to that section of the development agreement? Does that become null, or will that still have to be implemented by the developer?
I think the site is pretty long enough to have that 10 feet buffer for the vegetation in the front. And for the sides, it says 4 feet, which is, we are required to, the dog daycare is required to leave a 10 feet setback from the sides for the fencing. So they will have a 4 feet setback within that 10 feet, 4 feet buffer within that 10 feet setback. And whatever is in the DA will have to be carried out. There is no amending it without bringing it to the council, I believe.
Okay.
Did you want to weigh in on that, Mr. Fleming?
Thank you. Within the C1 zone, there is a requirement that the landscaping along the front be at least 10 feet wide. So maybe Ms. Jacob recalls how wide the actual property is.
The width is around 60 feet.
Yeah, so plenty of room, 20 feet for Access is all that we're requiring,
Okay.
so 10 feet minimum, but the wording of the DA says if it's not used for access and it's not used for parking, it shall be landscaped. So the remainder will be landscaped along the front, just to soften the look is the goal of our new documents.
Thank you.
I have no other lights on for questions of clarification, but I did have one. Could you put up the site map where you had the red line and the yellow line and all that stuff? Yeah, right there. So am I correct that the development agreement that we're talking about today only applies to the red part of this property? Or is it inclusive of the whole property?
I'll jump in for Alice. So it's the entire property. What this is demonstrating is the new use is proposed to be at the back. That's where the usable space is. So while she's shown a red area to the extent of the property lines, the DA has a requirement of the fenced area to be 10 feet in, so it's not completely as it's shown there. And in the front, where the yellow is, the required parking for the use would be located there. So the whole property is being
And so
utilized.
this is all detailed in the development
That's
agreement?
right.
Okay, okay. Because I misunderstood and thought we were just talking about the red part, so, okay. That answers that question. And Councillor Killam has a question.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question that was brought up earlier regarding maybe these developments are for rural areas, and I guess my question was how far does the rural area extend to? Does it go into growth centers and more residentially dense areas?
Through you, Madam Chair. By definition, if you're in the growth center, you're in what we call as urban, excuse me, and if you're outside the growth center, you're rural. So at the time that we developed these new documents, the thought was that the desire would be to have doggy daycares more rural, but certainly COVID has changed things, and it is a use that we're seeing more uptake for. And given its similarity to other permitted uses, this is a good test to see if it's viable within a commercial zone.
Is this particular application considered in the rural area?
No, it's
No.
in the growth center of Coldbrook.
Yes, what I thought.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other lights. Can I have the recommendation up again, please? So the recommendation before us today is the Planning Advisory Committee recommends that the Municipal Council give initial consideration to and hold a public hearing regarding entering into a development agreement to permit a dog daycare at 7311 Highway 1, PID 55151484 Coldbrook, which is substantively the same for minor differences in form as the draft set out in Appendix D of the report dated October 10, 2023. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Allen, Ms. Friars, thank you. Is there any debate? No lights? I'll call the question. You can register your vote now. And that passes unanimously. Great, thank you. Is there any other business to come before us today? No? This is an opportunity for public comment. If anyone wishes to come forward and address the committee, I can turn on the light. I just ask you to give us your name and your address. Okay. So other than that, the date of our next meeting is a public participation meeting that's specific to options for incentive zoning, inclusionary zoning, and density bonusing, which is going to take place in these chambers on October the 18th at 6 p.m. I won't be here. I'm going to place this in the very capable hands of our Vice Chair, Councillor Granger. So again, October the 18th at 6 p.m. in these chambers. And our regularly scheduled PAC meeting will happen on November the 14th in these chambers at 1 p.m. And if there's, oh, Councillor Killam.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to bring up one issue that's been coming my way lately, and I don't know if this is the place to bring it up, but I will bring it up anyway. It's to deal with a past application over application for a discomfort inn. I'm receiving a lot of calls from the community, and I'm just wondering if it's in place and it's going to happen, is happening, or is there anything that the concerned residences have over there can, how can I say, get their concerns alleviated?
I think you have most of us at a disadvantage, Councillor. I don't know, to be perfectly blunt, I have no idea what you're talking about. So maybe that's something you can take up with staff.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Yep.
And see where it goes. Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Morris. And Councillor Allen, thank you very much. You can register your vote on that right now. And we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.